I get email addresses in like the craziest ways. Like that's one of them. I get them. I get like that's, I got it that way. That interview with the superintendent that I did a few weeks ago, like I got tons of email addresses that way. Like, I don't know. I think that that's actually, I mean, kind of a good segue into today, right? Because that's kind of what we want to talk about is email marketing. And I think that sometimes we get it twisted that like, when we're collecting email addresses, it has to be for like a business related item, right? Like we're like, oh, well, if I want to collect email addresses, like I have to give them a listing packet or I have to give them a staging guide or I have to give them something that's like directly related to real estate. And I think that if we can like shift our mindset a little bit, you girls already do this, Jamie and Lauren, but like, I mean, general is like the email address is just like, this is you starting a relationship with this person, right? Like the same way that you would walk up to somebody, like if you were at a party and you saw somebody new and you would walk up and be like, hey, I'm Tara. What's your, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to like immediately dive into like, I'm a real estate agent, but what that natural progression, right? Like you meet somebody new, you start to chat with them. Eventually they know you're a real estate agent. You friend them on Facebook. They see all your real estate stuff. And that's really how that segue into real estate comes in, right? So it's the same thing with email. So it's like, give away things that people actually want and will actually opt into, like a holiday bucket list item or an interview with somebody important, or I mean, there's a million different things you can do.
Yeah, I think that's smart because even for real estate agents, I think our number one thing is like, oh, I'm not just going to do email marketing, or I'm only going to send them a newsletter once a month, or I'm only going to do this. Like, that's great. That's fine. But you also have to give other information. And it goes back to the whole being 5 Mile famous. It's just one little piece of the pie to continue to basically, we talk about this in elite coaching, to basically bring them down your sales funnel. And how do you do that? So email marketing really is like your top of the funnel type of a thing. And sometimes some of the items that you send them is what helps to bring them down the funnel, you know? So I think we as an industry need to realize that people don't give a shit about your listings. They don't give a shit about you saying like, here's the top 10 houses in, Holly Springs today. No one cares unless they're actually in the market to buy a home. What do they care about? They care about their lifestyle. What restaurants are hot and popping? What restaurants maybe have a holiday pop-up event going on? They care about like my community. They have a ton of kids. They want to know where Santa is. They want to know what parades are going on right now in the area, what days and times those parades are. So if we start to think like that, that's how you become 5 Mile famous. And that's how you do email marketing correctly. Right.
Well, and the thing too is that the stuff that people opt into will tell you so much about somebody. Like it absolutely will tell you so much about somebody. Like what you just said, Jamie, like, with the holiday, where to see Santa. Like people without kids don't care where Santa is. And so what did you just learn about somebody? You just learned that they have kids or maybe grandkids, right? But either way, they're going to have a future interest in kid related activities, right? And so that's the information that you feed them like on the next go round is like, okay, well, they opted into my Santa list. And so what's something else I can give them? Okay, well, how about 10 things to bust like the winter blues, right? Because it's like winter vacation has gotten so long now, I think for a lot of schools, like for us, it's almost 3 weeks now. And so literally by the end of it, like I'm ready to freaking go back to work. These kids are bored out of their minds and they just want to spend like 10 hours a day on iPads. It's freaking cold outside. So it's not like I can go throw the ball, right? Like, I mean, I could, but like give them 10 indoor activities to beat the winter boredom.
But what you're talking about is targeted email marketing and segmenting them out, because that's important. Because when you ask for information or they opt into something like you just said that is a kid related activity, okay, that's a certain segment. So every single freebie that I do, every single event that I put on, I have to name those segments, right? So like the landing page I send them to when they have to sign up for whatever freebie or they're RSVPing, I name those segments in my email list so I know next go around when I send something out specific for 12 Oaks Monster Mash Dash that I just did, next year when I do it, I know to send it to all the kid segments specific to my neighborhood, right? Or if I'm sending something out that like, here's my top 10 date night areas in the triangle. Well, that's probably somebody and that either maybe they're married and they need a date night, or maybe they're people who don't have kids. So I'm gonna send them stuff like that. That's like the hyper local hotspots or the new eateries or the new breweries in town. I'm gonna send them that type of stuff. But the only way I can do that is when I segment my email list out.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well,
it's like really targeted.
That's also going to help with your like unsubscribe rate too, because
Yep.
No.
yeah, I mean, if
Bingo.
somebody doesn't have kids and you're sending them a bunch of Santa stuff, like they're going to be like, none of this applies to me. It's noise, you know.
That is so important. And I
So
think that's where I see most people getting it wrong, is because they just mash everybody into this like singular segment, right? They're like, it doesn't matter if they collected their email from an open house or
Yeah.
from a 4th of July parade registration. It's all getting smashed into this one segment. And yeah, and then they're just like sending them everything. They're sending them their just listed. They're sending them their interest rates. They're sending them their community updates. They're sending them their kids events. They're sending them their dog events. And it's like, and so probably 70% of what you're sending to that person doesn't apply actually to their interests or their needs, right? And so having those segmented boxes or silos, first of all, it helps you send relevant information, right? That's important. It needs to be relevant. It also helps you make people feel super important. So Jamie, you just gave an example, your Monster Mash Dash, right? So like you have a segment inside of your email database for Monster Mash Dash. Imagine how impactful that would be if you sent out an email to only that list next year that said, hey, I remember that you registered for Monster Mash Dash last year. I want to give you first opportunity to register this year, or save the date because you came last year. Because the person, if you write that in the right way, they feel like, oh, she remembered, right? Or the same thing about if they registered and didn't come. How impactful would it be if they registered, you kept a separate list of people that didn't come, and you sent to the gap, right? The people that didn't end up coming, and be like, I'm so sorry, we missed you. We'd love to see you next year. You know, like they would feel like, oh my gosh, like I registered. She noticed that I wasn't there and she thought enough to reach out about me. Like that says a lot about the relationship building portion of that.
For sure.